Ah, there's a dog. Today we are driving something quite exclusive. We are behind the wheel of the brand new Mazda MX-30. This is Mazda's very first all-electric vehicle that started up right here. It's a rainy day in Vancouver. There we go. So I'll come on here. We are showing 99% capacity for the battery, and our range is showing 206 kilometers. So let's get on the road and experience it a little bit more before we start talking about it. All right. We're kind of actually doing what this vehicle is made for, driving around in the city. We're in kind of busy Vancouver downtown traffic here. So what do we know about this new MX-30? First of all, it will only be sold in a few markets in North America at launch, and it is built in Japan. So this is going to be sold in California in the US, and in Canada it's going to be sold in BC and Quebec, and that's kind of natural because those two provinces have kind of like the best infrastructure that we have right now for EVs as well. It does have the rebates, and this will qualify for both federal and provincial rebates, which is a big bonus. We'll get to the price in a second. So this is based on the Mazda CX-30, and so this platform is kind of modular, let's just say, not for making it a bigger vehicle or a larger SUV, but for accepting different powertrains. So down the road, if they want to perhaps, put in, a little bit more battery power, you can do that. You can put in a hybrid system, so a gasoline and a EV system. There will be a PHEV in this vehicle coming out as well. That'll probably be in the next year or so. And that EV or PHEV will be how it's going to work is they'll have a rotary engine, and that will only power a generator to create electricity for the batteries. So the gasoline or internal combustion engine does not power the wheels at all. Powering the front wheels, because this is only a front-wheel drive vehicle, it does not come in an all-wheel drive version, is a 107 kilowatt electric motor, and it produces 143 horsepower. And powering that electric motor is a 35.5 kilowatt hour battery. It's not massive, but it is quite lightweight. And the beauty of this battery, of course, it's hung nice and low. So the center of gravity of this vehicle is over 2 inches lower now. So it's definitely handles better. It really has a nice planted feel. Also, because to protect the battery, they've built a cage around the battery, and what that does, it creates a much more rigid frame, and the platform is over 40% stiffer as well. So it's a plus all around, other than one thing that takes a hit is the range. So this is rated at 100 miles or 161 kilometers. That's like, that's not a lot of range for an EV for what people are getting used to now. However, when we got in here, it was showing over 200 kilometers of range. So we've been driving for a while. We've only put on 9 kilometers though, because we're in stop and go traffic, but we're showing 186 kilometers of range. And Mazda's philosophy is, and this has been the same, not just for Mazda, but most people do not drive that far every day. On average, I believe in North America, it's about 40 to 45 kilometers a day. So if you can get 161 kilometers of range, and that's all you do, this will be fine. At the same time, you are not carrying all that extra weight with all that heavy battery, which means it's lighter, so that's better for handling. Also, you have a better carbon footprint. You don't have to use as many materials to produce a larger battery. So just remember, this vehicle is not for everybody, but for a lot of people, this is all you need. We've got another MX-3 beside me here. Oh! Beats him off the line. You can hear some of the tire spin, the traction control setting in here. Remember, this is only front wheel drive. It would be nice for all-wheel drive, but you know what? Once again, more efficient. For winter climates, for those in Quebec, that might be a little bit of a concern. Mazda vehicles have always been known as driver's vehicles. You have that real connected experience with the vehicle, and they've done a great job creating and maintaining that DNA, that driver's DNA in this new MX-30. Once again, I mentioned it does have a lower center of gravity. Mazda also has the GVC, their G-Vector control. Well, this has the e-GVC. So it's very similar to the G-Vector control, how it can actually go and drag a little bit of a brake sometimes, or before you actually initiate into a corner, it can increase torque or decrease, and it just makes the vehicle rotate so much easier, makes for a smoother drive. And with this being electric, you get instant torque and you have regen braking. So some of these things happen much quicker than even on the G-Vector control, and you don't really notice it, other than you just feel like, wow, this thing just tracks so straight. You could be on a real long sweeping corner and then you're barely moving the steering wheel whatsoever. Now the regen braking, this is brake by wire. There is no connection between the brake and the actual calipers and brakes themselves, other than it's all done electronically, which is quite incredible. And you can't really tell when it's regen and when it's actually a friction brake. And that's very, very impressive. Now, the regen braking, what they've done is on the paddle shifters, you can control the amount of regen braking. So you have a little display here, it has two little arrows. When it's two arrows up, that means you basically have no regen, and I can go and with my left paddle, go all the way down. I can feel the actual resistance now. And when I let go, you can feel it's really dragging and it is charging for you. Now, if you are actually quite full on your charge, it'll actually tell you that it will not even operate. The regen braking for the most aggressive setting will not work because it doesn't want to overcharge your battery. And I did try it out, and it really did give me that notice. I do like having the option at your fingertips to control the level of regen, though. I've always liked that type of feature. Also, if you're looking for a one-pedal drive, you will not get that with this MX-30 at all. Now, if you can hear me accelerate, why can you hear me accelerate? Because they have actually introduced a little bit of powertrain sound into the cockpit, and this is simulated and is generated, it's pumped in. And the advantage of that, it's not to make it sound cool, it's not for other people to hear, it's just because to have that one-on-one connection to your vehicle and to know what it's doing, and for the complete experience of driving, you really should hear something, and that's why they included it with it. And I do agree, you do want to hear, let's say if the RPMs are increasing on your electric motor or gasoline engine, regardless, it does give you a different, some audible feedback. I'm not sure if this microphone actually picks it up or not. Let's just accelerate a little more. It's very subtle, but it's enough. Okay, we're finally out of traffic a little bit. It's still pouring rain. That's okay, we're dry in here. One thing I've really noticed about this MX-30 is, Mazda has really dialed it in to achieve the best of both worlds. Essentially, you do feel like you're driving a conventional internal combustion engine, really, which is really nice. It's very predictable. There's none of that real jerkiness that you would find with just a straight EV. So you get the best of both worlds on this. And they pumped in that little bit of sound, like we mentioned. It's good. It's really good. Here's some, speed bump. It's very, very engaging to drive. Now, the problem is it's this range. So you have this 160 to 200 kilometer range. The MX-30 starts at $42,000 for the GS trim. We're in the GT trim, and that's about $45,000. And remember, it does qualify for all the rebates here in British Columbia and in Quebec. However, the biggest battle they're going to be battling is the range. Even though most people don't need the extra range, it's just one of those things that people want. And if you can get past that and realize that you're getting a lot more premium of a product, then you'll really enjoy this vehicle. First of all, the driving experience is very, very good. We just drove the new 2022 Chevrolet Bolt not too long ago, and that is a great value, hands down. Great value, very, very functional vehicle. Driveway is not the same as this. The interior is nowhere as nice as what this one is. So we didn't even talk about the interior. These seats, I don't know, they're really, really comfy. They are leatherette and cloth seats. On the GT, you get cloth seats for the GS. There's a lot of recycled material used. It kind of reminds me of when the i3 came out. So on the door panels, top door panels here, that's kind of a recycled material. And one thing that I learned I did not know is that Mazda started out as a cork supplier in Japan. So going back to their roots, you'll see there is quite a bit of cork used. It's in the inside of the door handle. You have it by the drink holders here in the middle console, which is a floating console, by the way. One thing though, you do have a 110 volt outlet and you have your USBs. Those USBs are really hard to get at. They are on the other side underneath this floating console, so you'll definitely make sure that you want to plug in what you want to plug in before you start driving, because it's almost next to impossible to do it while you're driving, or to do it safely, that is. The MX-30 comes with standard eye-active safety, giving you all those great frontal collision alert, blind spot warning, all that stuff, except this one has 2 new features available, and that's the blind spot traffic assist. So not only will it warn you if there is someone beside you, but if you are going to kind of get into an accident or try to steer into something and there's an actual object there, it will actively steer away for you. And also this has a frontal collision traffic assist now, so if you're going into like a blind intersection, it can automatically operate the brakes to prevent an accident as well. I think this could be a very good car for people that live in BC, where we live right now. Reason being is that our winters are fairly mild here, and I've always said that, you know, it's like people get hung up on range. I want the most range, even though they don't drive very far. I totally get that. You just kind of want the best value for your money. So, you know, you pay a lot, you want a lot of range. And it's not just the range for me that I want. I just want that I don't have to worry. I don't want to be anxious, to have that range anxiety, especially in the winter time. So when you're using the heated seats and the rear defrost and the front defrost, and you're using all of that at the same time, it's going to reduce your range for sure. You know what? I'm going to turn off this. There, we just turned off the HVAC system. See if the range changed at all. No, it did not. Okay, so we have had it on auto. Let's turn up the heat here. 159. Oh, okay. We lost 6 kilometers by turning on the HVAC. That's not too bad. But you know, when it's the dead of winter, that might change. This battery also is thermally managed, so it does have like a liquid cooling and / heating system to manage that battery. It's best to use it when you're plugged in for heating the battery, for instance. So if you're at home, you can just plug it. Now, speaking of charging, when you buy this vehicle, whether you're in North America or in Canada, you will get a $500 charge point credit. So that's also nice. And if you're watching from the US, one thing they also have, they have an elite loaner program. So for the first 3 years, if you need a vehicle that has longer range, you can actually borrow a vehicle for up to 10 days. We do not have that here in Canada. Instead, Mazda Canada is offering, instead of that, 2 years of free maintenance on this vehicle. They also, in their studies, they've also kind of realized that over 85% of vehicles, EV owners in Canada already own a second vehicle, and most of the time over 80% of those second vehicles are longer range vehicles. So most of the people, if you do have an EV, you have another vehicle that you can drive farther anyways. So this could be a very good example of an average MX-30 owner's drive, especially if you live in the city. We've been driving for 2.5 hours, all right? And we've only driven 62.3 kilometers now. And we haven't really stopped driving. It's just because there's a lot of stop and go driving. So you may not need the range, and if you have a place to plug this in on a daily basis, so if you live in a detached house or you have a dedicated plug to charge your vehicle, then this could be the very, very perfect vehicle for you. If you don't, then you might want to get something with a little bit more range, or wait for one of those other alternative powertrains that they're going to have with this, whether it's the PHEV or maybe something like a range extender. We're at 62.6 kilometers. Our range is showing 120 kilometers left. All right, so it was fairly accurate. We started with 201. And at 99%. Now we are at 62% for our battery capacity left. Now, while we've been driving for 2.5 hours, both wipers have been going. It's raining, a lot of pooling waters. We have a lot of drag that we're carrying around. I've had the climate control on and the defrost on for front and back. So everything's there. So it's using up a lot of power. It's not super cold though. So I can't really simulate winter conditions, but this is typical Vancouver weather, and yeah, so 120. So essentially, we'd be getting over 180 kilometers of range from this, and we've actually put it through testing on the highway and hills and everything. So I think that's quite realistic. That's it. What did you think? Like always, leave a comment below. I really want to know your feedback of what do you think of this new vehicle. Oh, there's a cat. There's a dog. Because that's what it's raining right now. Cats and dogs. Insane. I need floats.